Welcome back, everyone, to Kemnay Kids for this week in January. As we mentioned last week, and we'll keep saying it for the rest of the month as well, we are, for the month of January, producing two worship services. I always feel like the count from two services. So we have this one for kids.
Or any age.
Yes, kids of any age. Absolutely. You're right, quite right. And we also have our joint service. Well, they're both available. Both these services are available on Facebook and also through our YouTube channel. And you are very welcome to watch one or both.
And if by chance you're missing fellowship and staring at the computer screen, we invite you to join us today, Sunday, for our Zoom fellowship at 11 a.m. Is that right?
Where we can still stare at the computer screen.
I know.
Because who wants to miss out on that? But at least we can stare at our dear friends here in the Kemnay community and have that time of fellowship. So that will last from, as Heather said, about 11 a.m. to probably about 11:30 or so. So it's a time to catch up and have a good blather with folk to start our week off on a good
And if you
foot.
want the link for that, email Joshua.
Yes, indeed.
Or text message, whatever information you have for him.
Be in touch with me if you'd like the link, and we will make sure we get it to you.
Very good. Anything unique that you see today?
Well, let's see.
Okay, so yeah, you can pick on me for the Christmas tree, but if you are observant, is there anything different about that tree? I don't know if Joshua even knows. I took all of the baubles off. Step one.
True. I did notice that. So it's a phased deconstruction.
It's a phase. So
church.
you can take bets on if it will be here next week or not. With that being said, it takes both of us to get that tree down. So
Yes, it does. I think we'll just leave it up and have it be a Valentine's tree.
Yeah.
You know, and then
I get it. This week we called it our inauguration day tree. So kids, if you don't know what happened in the US of A, you can ask your parents about that. But there was an inauguration that happened there.
Absolutely.
Anything else different that you see? We have someone who is
We have
always
an old
with us.
friend with
Our
us
friend
today.
who's come back, who was a little lost last week, but is always in our hearts. But Jesus is back with us today.
Absolutely.
And a great reminder as we are locked down in our homes that Jesus is always with us, even if we are just with our families or even by ourselves.
Yep.
We are
Absolutely.
not alone in that way.
Absolutely.
Anything else that's switched for this week?
I think we have maybe one or two different animals.
They, believe it or not, I believe are both different this
Okay.
week. We have a squirrel sporting a Seahawks kit here.
Yes. No, our team is no longer in the playoffs.
No, we're not.
Single tier, but we support them nonetheless, as does the squirrel apparently.
And we have a rabbit there that our son likes to say hop hop to. So,
He does. Yep.
very good. And I have one of my favorite dog friends with us here today.
You do. You do. Yeah.
So what is the theme for the month, Joshua?
The theme for the month, Heather, is animals. And the idea that behind this is that God has made every single animal special and unique. And we'll be finding more out about animals as we go along today.
And a special animal that God has created is a bird. So I'm going to put right up here a drawing submitted by Christopher. Isn't that lovely?
Absolutely.
Great detail on this in this pencil
Yeah.
drawing. It looks really lifelike.
It really does.
And I think it's really appropriate that we're starting our service looking at a bird, because so often we can look out at the birds and it can remind us of God's creation and that God takes care of us. So let us continue in worship today as we share in jokes together.
Absolutely. Today is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it.
Welcome back to Joke Corner. 10 months into being in this pandemic and some form of lockdown, and we're still laughing, which is a bit of a miracle.
There's some crying as well, but there's also laughter as well.
And some yelling. But we are laughing hopefully most days at some point.
Maybe
So,
laughing
Josh-
with each other, at each other,
Yeah.
by
So
each other.
Joshua, do you have a joke for us today?
I do indeed. Heather,
Okay, are we ready for this?
Heather,
Yes.
did you hear about the racing snail who decided to get rid of its shell?
No, I did not.
Yeah, he thought it would make him faster, but really it just made him sluggish. Yes, yes.
That's the middle of the road for me, but not too bad there. Luckily, we have another comedian with us
Thanks
today.
for building me up. I appreciate that. We do have a special guest comedian with us today, our special friend Angus from Inverurie. So, Angus, please take it away with your joke.
Why do pandas like old movies?
I don't know. Why do pandas like old movies?
Because they're black and white.
Very good.
That was
Very
good. I have to say, I really liked that one.
Yeah, and I really like black and white movies as well. They're some of the classics.
And pandas, I do.
They do.
I've heard that he is also watching pandas from the Edinburgh Zoo online. So if you haven't checked that out,
Good fun.
I know.
Good fun.
So very good.
Yep.
Okay, so keep sending us your jokes so we can keep laughing as we are approaching the year mark of being locked down here. And so let's keep laughing and bringing joy into this situation.
Absolutely.
So send us those jokes. God created all creatures, big and small, including you and me and our dog, Benny. So welcome to A Blether with Benny.
Welcome to this edition of Blether with Benny, where we get to ask Benny questions and he gives us some very insightful and sometimes surprising answers. And this week's questions come to us from Rosie, who is a dog like Benny.
A beagle.
A beagle, indeed, so it's got a very good nose. And Rosie currently lives in Canada, and so she's visited Kemnay.
She has, because she used to live in London.
Her family worships with us online. And so Rosie has some questions.
I'm going to put a photo of Rosie up for you here. Isn't she cute? There she is.
Very
and
cute.
So Rosie asks, Benny, where's your favorite place to go on a walk? And do your humans give you treats, biscuits, on a regular basis? So
this is going to be like our report card, pretty much.
it's true. Hadn't thought about that.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Let's see how we do.
Let's hear from Benny.
All right, here's Benny's response.
Hi, Rosie. I miss you. Thanks for your question. My favorite place to go for a walk has to be Veterinary. It's great there. And your other question, do I get enough treats? No way. That's why sometimes when my mom and dad are not looking, I will steal a biscuit from my human brother.
Wow.
Wow. Well, I gotta say, I'm not surprised by his first answer. That
No, he loves veterinary.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen him in there. He loves to go with his best doggy pal Yates.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, he's gone with Rosie before.
he has, yeah.
So-
And on a kind of a rainier day, he goes out as a golden lab and comes back as a black lab. He's covered in mud because he has so much fun stomping around and
It's very true.
yeah. But he has a great time with a huge grin on his face whenever he comes back.
But
from that
we
walk.
learned something there, Joshua.
We did, and you know, he's clearly dissatisfied with his level of treats, and you know, it really makes sense where those biscuits are going now.
I thought you were eating them all, Joshua.
I thought you were eating them all. So, you know, I thought, well, taking food from our son, but it's actually Benny, the jealous older brother who's taking the biscuits.
Benny has been having a harder time becoming an older brother.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else had a hard time with that?
And he's a biscuit thief as well.
Yes.
And I think he's very proud of that fact, obviously, because he did a confession
Yeah.
for us
But
here.
you know what? Whatever gets you through lockdown. Whatever gets you through lockdown.
Absolutely.
Those are not chocolate biscuits that he's taking, by the
No.
way. Do not give chocolate to a dog.
No, they're plain
Yeah,
biscuits.
just
So
to clarify. So keep sending us your questions for Benny because we're learning a lot as we go, just as you're learning things too.
yep, you
So-
never know what he's going to say next.
And now on to our favorite animals and an animal quiz.
So Heather, as we know, God has created so many amazing animals. And we're curious, for those who are watching, what are a few of your favorite animals?
So Sam from Kemnay let us know. I'm going to put his photo up here, and he guesses what his
That
favorite
is a
animal.
great photo. It's a great photo.
I think if you look carefully, you can guess what his favorite animal is from this. You can see from his jumper and
Yep.
from his lovely stuffed toy
Very good.
that it is a fox.
Very good.
That's a great favorite animal.
It
Foxes
is.
are beautiful.
They
in that
are.
way.
The lovely tails and whatnot. Yeah.
And the color of the red fox, I just love
Yeah.
that.
Beautiful.
So Joshua, a couple quiz questions, and for you,
Okay.
we'll start with foxes since that sounds favorite.
Okay.
Do you know where a fox lives?
Let's think here. I was going to say foxes live in holes, which I think is technically true.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the actual name for it is a den.
Do you guys think he's right? I believe he is.
Lots of animals have dens, actually.
That's true.
Think about
That's
it.
true.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and a female fox. What's a female fox called?
I have no idea.
A vixen. Isn't that fabulous?
That is one that I will remember.
I know we do.
Interesting.
I know. If any of these
Okay.
are, if you think they're not correct and you have different, give us that data.
Okay.
So I like that.
All right.
Anyone else favorite animal? Penguins?
Mhm.
we're penguin fans in this household.
Yep, penguins are super cute, I think, and I think we both enjoy how they walk. They kind of, you know,
And to tell you the truth, our son walks that way.
yeah, he's kind of
So,
very, very cute.
related to penguins, Christopher and William have submitted our next quiz question. How many birds can you name that cannot fly?
Okay.
So we gave you one.
Yeah,
Penguin,
penguins, right,
Penguins.
okay.
Can you name any others? Can you guys name some?
I'll say an ostrich.
I think that's good. An ostrich. And so
Okay.
related to that would be the emu.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know any more? I'm not sure. This is hard.
Can a peacock fly?
I think a peacock can fly.
Short distances, maybe? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you guys correct me on that? I've seen a peacock at a zoo take off, like not high, but take
Okay.
off and fly into a tree.
Okay. Wow.
I think the kiwi, which New Zealand
All right.
is often named
Okay.
after the kiwis. I think the cute little kiwi cannot fly.
Okay.
So there are more.
Yep.
And I think that moa, is that how you pronounce that?
I think so.
Is also, Christopher and William gave us that one. I did not know this one.
Right.
And there are up to, did you know this? 60 plus species of birds that cannot fly.
That's
did you
more
guys
than
know
I,
this?
that's way more than I thought there would be.
You guys probably did. Did you learn about this in school?
That's pretty interesting.
If I did,
Okay.
I wasn't listening.
Okay. Yeah.
So thank you, Christopher
very
and
good.
William, for that. Thank you, Sam, for that. That is so great. God has such an amazing imagination to create all of those and to think of making 60 species of birds
Absolutely.
that cannot fly. I love it.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. What with that shared, we'll now go on to our memory verse. So Heather, as we heard last week, our memory verse is from Psalm 42, verse 1. And over the course of this last week, I came across a funny picture, what we call a meme, about this particular verse
Let's
on
put
the
it up.
screen.
Let's see it. Did you guys get it?
I personally like that. It's,
That's pretty good.
yeah, being interviewed, like, so there I was, panting for streams of water. So, anyway,
good it was
hopefully
actually
just
happening.
some lighthearted humor.
I think that's pretty fun.
Yeah.
That's good.
So we should, part of learning a memory verse is learning to recite it, of course. And so we should continue that practice this week.
And I had some requests for some creative fun voices. This one doesn't really want to do them, but I think we can make him do them.
Fine.
So I pictured deer because they're so delicate having high-pitched voices. This is probably totally incorrect.
Because I just did a gravelly New Jersey accent with a deer. So.
We have different imaginations for a deer. They're just so delicate and beautiful.
Yeah.
Although I wouldn't want to take one on.
No, definitely not.
So let's do
Okay.
it in a high-pitched voice.
Okay,
Ready?
very good.
Steady. Go.
A deer thirsts for a stream of water. In the same way I thirst for you, God. Psalm 42, 1.
Okay.
Can I just say I'm so glad these are on the internet forever.
Been fools for Christ. Didn't Paul talk about that?
Uh-huh.
Okay, moving along. So we asked you last week, what does it mean to be thirsty for God? Obviously, we can be thirsty for water.
Mm-hmm. Yes, certainly we can.
So what do you think, Reverend Michelson, Joshua, what does it mean to be thirsty for God? Let's talk about that.
Well, and I think the psalmist uses great imagery for getting the point across, because I think as human beings, we need to drink a certain amount of water or fluids every day. And if we don't get enough fluids, we get really cranky, we can get sick, or even something worse can happen.
We're
sometimes.
trying to work on drinking more water, aren't we?
Absolutely.
This is actually water.
And I find it sometimes when I'm not feeling very, very well, I will just take some time to drink some water, and then slowly I start to perk up and feel better, because you get hydrated and you feel better. And so just like animals and human beings need water to live, this text is telling us that we also need God to live as well. And so just like we need to drink some water every day, we need to spend some time with God every day
So
as
let's
well.
just briefly talk about a couple ways. We'll talk about more of them next week that we could spend time with God during lockdown.
Yep,
How
absolutely.
could we spend time with God during lockdown? Or how could we personally?
Well, I mean, being in lockdown is always a very challenging time, of course, but we can still read our Bibles together, even when we're in lockdown. And
in fact, maybe you could read a psalm a day, just like this is from Psalm 42. You could go and read a psalm, because most of those don't start with 119. But most of
Psalm 119 is very long.
most of them are pretty short.
Yep. So I think doing that, or maybe spending time calling a friend, on Zoom or FaceTime or Skype
message.
or whatever, or calling a granny or grandpa to check in and see how they're doing. Those are ways I think that we can honor God with each day that we have and spend time with God by caring for other people.
That's a great idea. So those are good challenges for this week. So to read something from the Bible, we gave the idea of a psalm, and maybe for this week you could do a psalm a day, a psalm for the week. To do that, to check in on somebody, to give them a phone call or shout over the fence to a neighbor.
Or if you're feeling really daring, write someone a note.
That is a great idea. So some ways that we can spend time with God, and of course we can spend time with God through prayer, which we're going to do fairly soon as we wrap up this service. So be working on those and be memorizing the verse with us. And so we're going to say it one more time. And so just as the deer drinks water, what if we were to drink water, act like we're underwater while we say the verse one more time, and say it with us. We're not the only fools here. Everyone of all ages,
Thankfully,
say it with us now.
Very
So
good.
3,
2,
2,
1.
1.
A deer thirsts for a stream of water. In the same way, I thirst for you, God.
Once again, the things we're doing in 2020 and 2021.
Absolutely.
So we're going to wrap up here soon with our prayer. Before we do that, of course, animals were created by God, and animals are in the scriptures. And so maybe you would want to read a Bible story to get to know God better this week. That could be about animals. So Joshua, last week I think we talked about how they could go and they could read about
Daniel in the lion's den.
And what's another Bible story with an animal that they could go and read
There
this
are
week?
lots to choose from, but I was just thinking a few moments ago about the time when Jesus rode a donkey into Jerusalem for the triumphal entry.
So you could go to the New Testament and to the Gospels and read about that. I think that's a great idea. So that's another way you could spend time with God this week, is reading a Bible story about animals. And if you need other ideas, let us know and we will give you more stories that you could read. There will be another Bible story about animals that is going to follow this video. If you're on Facebook, jump on over to our YouTube channel and you will see that Bible story, and there'll be a few songs that you can sing and that you can dance to that will be all about worshiping God, and will feature some animals in that way. And once again, if you find yourself in need, that you need somebody to talk to, please reach out to someone in the church. Reach out to us. Our information is up there on the webpage. We do encourage you to do that.
Please do.
So now let's close in prayer.
And give thanks to God for the gift of another day. And now let's have our closing prayer. Let's give thanks to God. Dear Lord, we thank you so much for all of the animals.
Dear God, thank you for leopards. Dear God, thank you for dolphins. Dear God, thank you for rhinos.
Dear Jesus, thank you for creating all the animals and giving us the gift of life. We pray this in your name. Amen.